We have always been called by the stars.
Okay, really?
At Redwire, we are delivering the next generation of space infrastructure. Whether we are enabling missions through our essential spacecraft components,
Essential
contributing to
components.
a growing low Earth economy through innovative product development, or revolutionizing spacecraft architecture,
Spacecraft
robotic
architecture.
manufacturing and assembly on orbit.
Assembly
we are the
on
mission
orbit.
partner of choice for space
Wow.
exploration and operations.
This is something
Our
else.
mission delivers reliable, economical, and sustainable infrastructure from the Earth to the Moon.
And that is exactly where I believe this company is going. Hello, is space the next booming economy that will provide the greatest investment opportunities since Apple and Amazon?
The industrialization of space, I think, will be one of the great economic booms of this century.
I believe in 20 years' time we will look back at some of these space companies the way we look back at companies like Apple and Amazon. And today we are going deep drilling into a Spac, ticker symbol GNPK, who have announced a merger with Redwire that I believe is one of these space companies you cannot afford to be in the dark on. Stick around. Keep it simple. For those of you new to the channel, I am the Simple Trader and I'm not a financial advisor, so please understand this is all for entertainment only. Full disclosure, I do not yet have a position in GNPK, but I do want to shout out to Blake.H who raised this stock to my attention, and in my opinion, after deep drilling operations, well, let's find out. No more plugging, let's start drilling. In the words of Peter Canito, Chairman and CEO of Redwire, they have one goal and one goal only, and that is to, quote, build a company that will accelerate humanity's expansion into space, end quote. This is a big idea, and as the saying goes, quite possibly the final frontier for mankind. But is this just science fiction? Or is the fiction becoming reality? So what does Redwire actually do apart from boasting over 100 patents and applications? From what I can reasonably piece together, they are trying to build a full stack infrastructure space company that will provide all things space tech with the exception of rocket launches for now.
With more than 50 years of spaceflight heritage, Redwire has the talent and the technology to deliver new capabilities on orbit and accelerate humanity's expansion in space. This is the next golden age of space exploration, and we are called to build above. Redwire.
They have achieved this by executing multiple acquisitions which include Adcol Space, Rocore, Made in Space, LoadPath, Oakman Aerospace, Deployable Space Systems, and more, all within the last year or so. That is a very aggressive expansion plan if you ask me, and to go with this, they announced on March 25th that they will be merging with Genesis Park, ticker symbol GNPK, to allow them to become a publicly listed company by the second quarter of 2021. We will go over some of the merger specifics in the following segment. There are 5 streams of the Redwire strategic business plan that they are focused on, and they include on-orbit servicing assembly and manufacturing, or OSAM, low Earth orbit, LEO, commercialization, digitally engineered spacecraft, space domain awareness, and advanced sensors and components. I do want to touch on, apart from all the other services and products that they can offer, such as space-capable robotics, deployable booms, solar arrays and antennas, next-generation spacecraft, advanced in-space camera systems, and spacecraft sensors, is their development in microgravity additive manufacturing and in-space manufacturing of large structures, which is essentially enabled through their acquisition of Made in Space.
One of the core values of Made in Space is to enable humans to live and work in the space environment. And that has a multitude of different angles to try and pursue. One of those is actually being able to develop products in the space environment to actually bring back down here to Earth to bring value. These brand new products do not have any equivalent here on Earth. That is groundbreaking.
These new technologies, I believe, have incredible upside potential.
Space offers a whole new environment to create things we can't make on Earth.
Gravity in general is something that we all just take for granted because it's just always here. It affects everything. What becomes interesting is what happens when you take that away.
The most advanced microgravity material they have developed thus far is called ZBLAN, which is an optical fiber that offers 100x better signal than traditional fibers made on Earth. Imagine the possibilities with just this one material.
This is fiber optic cable. It works because the fiber reflects light over and over inside the structure. And even if you bend it, the light still comes through the other end. But in this application, it's nothing more than a modern-looking lava lamp. The best fiber optic cable is being used to transmit data all over the world. In fact, undersea cables carry 99% of all the data that crosses oceans. Optical fiber, usually made from silica, is important because it can transmit data incredibly quickly over a long distance before needing to have its signal amplified. But research done by the US Air Force in the 1990s proved that it would be possible to produce a fiber known as ZBLAN that could far exceed traditional silica fiber. The only catch, it needs to be made in microgravity.
You can imagine providing 5, 10, 50 times more bandwidth down the same line of fiber by using ZBLAN instead of silica. That you begin to scratch the surface of the economic potential of ZBLAN.
They estimate that a kilogram of ZBLAN could sell for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that high price per kilogram is important when it comes to space manufacturing.
Historically, a barrier to doing a lot of commercial activity in space has been that it costs so much money to get to space, do things, and then come back. You know, it can literally cost like tens of thousands of dollars a kilogram to launch, operate, and return. And that's why things like ZBLAN are so attractive, because we can sustainably sell them for tens of thousands of dollars a kilogram.
Meaning at some point, whole factories could be created in space, receiving raw material from the ground and shipping microgravity-enabled ZBLAN back to Earth.
But also imagine what other materials can be fundamentally changed and enhanced by microgravity manufacturing. How does microgravity enable this, and what is the science?
While it is possible to produce ZBLAN on Earth, it's nowhere near the potential of what you can produce in microgravity.
Earth manufactured ZBLAN suffers from too many crystals in the material, and basically what happens is when light or power goes through these crystal domains, they reduce each time, creating a power loss throughout the length of fiber you're going through. Microgravity suppresses these formations, and doing so creates more of a monocrystalline structure, so you have all these domain drops and you have less of a power drop over that length of fiber.
I believe there will be more microgravity materials that will be developed in the near future that will provide exponential growth opportunities as the cost of space launches is being driven down. Redwire will be in a key position to take advantage of this new material sector that could look set to change the world in more ways than one can imagine. They appear to have assembled a blockbuster team in place, but I just want to touch on two of the key players, who are Peter Canito, chairman and CEO of Redwire, who comes with 25 years of experience in aerospace and defense. He was the former CEO of Polaris Alpha, leading up to the Parsons acquisition, and Andrew Rush, who was the CEO of Made in Space until the business was acquired by Redwire. He is also the chair of NASA's Advisory Council Regulatory and Policy Committee. I believe Andrew Rush will be very critical in the growth and success of Redwire moving forwards, especially if they can leverage on his key experiences. 2021 revenues are projected to be $163 million, which is huge for a sector that most do not envisage will take off until quite a few years down the road. They also boast a $150 million and contracted backlog, which suggests they are securing business and orders moving forwards. The projections are inevitably where it gets interesting, and they are projecting a whopping $1.4 billion of revenues in 2025, and that is based on a 72% CAGR compounded annual growth rate. This is close to a 10x potential, and this is represented in the projected EBITDA of $250 million, which is a 12.5x increase over 2021 projected EBITDA of $20 million. This is their growth projected in a market where the global space economy is forecasted to grow to an estimated $2 trillion by 2040. Okay, looking at the forecasted numbers to me places the pro forma valuation of $615 million at a realistic valuation. Why? Well, they are projecting, much like other recent space SPACs, quite significant future revenues well into the billions of dollars, but they are underpinning their pro forma valuation on current value, EBITDA, and free cash flow, which are all positive in 2020 and 2021 forecast, which to me, if they do hit their 2021 forecast, means we could see some significant upside based on the current SPAC value. Redwire has gone to incredible lengths and have dedicated 2 pages of their investor presentation to highlighting the discount the offering means for investors who buy in right now, and they have benchmarked against some of their biggest rivals including Virgin Galactic, Desktop Metal, Momentous, AST Space Mobile, and Astra. This page summarizes things into perspective. Redwire, with a $0.6 billion valuation, is half the next lowest valuation, that is Momentous, yet its 2021 estimated revenues surpass all the competition, and its 2025 estimated revenues of $1.4 billion is only behind the estimates from Astra. What could be more compelling for an investor is Redwire has no debt, and that's why we can see cash required to break even as not applicable, whereas the competition all requires significant cash to repay costs. Finally, the first year of positive cash flow is already a norm for Redwire, whereas its competitors need to wait until 2023 and even 2024 to achieve this, meaning we could see some serious dilutions or offerings from them, like I already mentioned. With all these figures, we need to take these with precaution and factor in they are all just estimates that will likely be very skewed in favor to the company at hand. To summarize, I believe this is a strong play at its current price of around $10, which represents clearly very minimal risk being a SPAC, and actually for me represents serious upside potential if they can deliver on what they promise in 4 years time. Come 2025, if they achieve those estimates, then it's a potential 10x without question, meaning the price could be upwards of $100. If the space economy further takes off, even these estimates could be dwarfed. Remember, Amazon 10 years ago in 2011 was trading at $170. Today, it's effectively 20x'd to $3,300. I believe Redwire could be huge if their microgravity materials manufacturing really does take off, and if they can stay ahead of the competition.
I do firmly believe that we are on the precipice of that sort of Netscape moment for low Earth orbit commercialization, where we manufacture things on orbit, infuse those into prototype products on the ground, and people really wake up to the whole concept that this is something that's supremely important and that there's huge market potential here. It's so important to make investments in space naval manufacturing, because at the end of the day, that will drive improvements in our economy, and that will help us do better science and explore deeper into the solar system.
Thank you for watching this short drill into GNPK and Redwire. If you are interested in other EPG stocks that I have in my Freedom portfolio, please check out my other videos and just consider subscribing to my channel so you get the information first. I am the Simple Trader, and I try to keep this simple, and will simply see you next time.